You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. So you say,
"Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?"
Brew 2 shots of espresso.
after Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you're ready for some beats.
"Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music."
You head to meet some friends, but can't remember the place.
"Hey, Meta, call Eva."
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, hey, Meta, to harness the power of Meta AI. Shop now at meta.com/smartglasses.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. And now I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free and each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Make someone's season unforgettable with the Vizio 40-inch FHD Smart TV. Now just $148 at Walmart. Movie night just got better with stunning full HD clarity. Plus, enjoy Watch Free Plus right out of the box with over 300 channels of live and on-demand entertainment, all for free. And when you're in the mood for music, just fire up the iHeartRadio app. Whether it's a gift for someone special or a treat for yourself, this TV makes upgrading a breeze. Don't wait. Head to Walmart and grab the Vizio 40-inch FHD Smart TV for just $148 today.
Geno Smith trying to snap the Vikings winning streak. Back to pass, throws right, and that's it! Intercepted by Theo Jackson! And the Minnesota Vikings have won 8 consecutive games. They are 13-2, and Kevin O'Connell is the first coach in Minnesota Vikings history to have multiple 13-win seasons.
59th time's the charm.
Here comes Pete Bercich, analyst for the Vikings Radio Network, courtesy of Sukup and Sukup.com, S-U-K-U-P, Sukup.com, and Pete joins us now. First, fairness in adversary act. I'm watching back some of the game now between segments, and I noticed this yesterday, and I forgot to say it to you. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Okay, so we see him in person for the first time, and we're both amazed at some things that he does, and he's fast. You know, one underrated thing that I really like about him, because I've seen him get fouled here a couple of times, and it wasn't called. He never complains to the officials. He's not the one to like threaten to take the helmet off and gyrations and histrionics. He's just a smooth, classy character, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's again quietly leading that team. A team with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, by the way, in receiving yards by almost 30 going into that game. I think, he's had another 5 more receptions to that as far as his lead goes. So, yeah, he's quite. It's just how he is. He's quietly, he's just quietly leading that team, and that's kind of. I think it's a good thing because you have to be who you are. And he is smooth. There's no question about that.
There is not a quarterback in the NFL at this moment dealing dramatically better than Sam Darnold. I mean, Jared Goff is still playing at an incredibly high level. We got Mahomes and the whole thing. But what ddid you dig about Darnold's game yesterday?
How he finished it, how he kept moving. When we needed him, he came up with it. He was a little bit more inaccurate than we've seen him, I think, in the past. There's a lot of plays, I think, that were left on the table, but, making good decisions, protecting the football. Those are things that he's still doing. And I'll tell you what, the 2 touchdowns that JJ, both those throws were unbelievable. I mean, where he put it for JJ on the first touchdown, no one else. The defense can't do anything, and Geno Smith did that a couple times as well. And then the second one to step up in the pocket and throw that thing up there to the far shoulder away from the safety. It's just a thing of beauty. So Sam is still outside in the rain, able to hit some of those deep comebacks. He had a couple drops too now, right? He had a couple big plays that were dropped. So. His accuracy and his arm strength is still it's very, very impressive, and he can make throws that Not many quarterbacks can.
With Kevin O'Connell and Pete Bercich played for Denny Green, God rest his soul, and worked under Mike Tice as linebackers coach. So therefore, as an assistant coach or a player for a successful head coach, what are some facets of Kevin O'Connell's coaching and leadership that impresses you?
A couple of the comments, with your drive-bys that I was listening to is one of them. I can't remember which guy. I don't know if it was JJ that said it, but they said he's always the same guy, right? I think it was
CJ Ham.
CJ Ham. He's the same guy, and there's a consistency there that you have to have. It's a long year, a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and that was kind of Denny. I mean, he. When things were not going well, he didn't freak out, right? It was just business as usual. So that consistency is important, and then knowing what problems just narrowing it down to, hey guys, we have to do these 2 or 3 things. This is what we absolutely have to do. We're going to focus on this. We're going to concentrate on this. The rest of it, it's fluff. Don't worry about any of that. The media, the family, the bandwagon, all those things. And we just have to focus on A, B, and C. And I think that steady leadership matters. The thing about Kevin O'Connell is just his timing, especially with his handling of Darnold. There were a couple times during the season where he stepped up and just like, boom, he was like just glowing of Darnold. And it was at the times when he felt that Darnold needed to hear that, yeah, he's our guy. He's he's the quarterback. He's got this. He's one, and then now he's proving it. So it's amazing to watch him handle this group on that level, and this team having the right guys. They handle it the right way. Meaning that they don't need a foot up the keister to keep moving and have to beat it out of them to get them to move. These guys are responding to his leadership, and they have a right fit from that standpoint as well.
With Green Bay on the horizon for the penultimate and final regular season home game for the Purple, currently Sunday it's a noon game. We do say currently the time could be moved, but as of right now it's noon. What do you think of Jordan Love? Just overall his game. What do you think of Jordan Love?
Impressed. I still think he has. His footwork gets lazy and he gets inaccurate, and we're going to need some of that, I think, this Sunday. So just the consistency out of his position, right? That's the only thing that I think I've seen out of him. He'll leave some things on the table. He can throw a deep ball now. I mean, it's just a matter of whether or not they're going to come down with it. Christian Watson, it's kind of a 70-30 proposition maybe, but when under duress, having to move, I think you can make him inaccurate. So he's coming along, Paul, but I don't. I guess that's the only holes in this Green Bay squad. I mean, and let me tell you this, Green Bay. I don't look at this team any less than I would Detroit right now. I mean, the Green Bay Packers, the way that they took care of Seattle just a week ago, we'll obviously see how they do tonight. But
right.
They handled that Seattle team pretty well. I mean, and what they're doing really in the running game, is pretty amazing. You look at that first, the first series that they had. Let me see here. I got this written down
against Seattle.
Yeah. They had 10. It was 65 yards, 10 plays. Josh Jacobs touched the ball 9 of the first 10 plays.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's just 2 screens, and then they handed the ball off to him the rest of the way. And they had one quarterback. And the only reason why Jacobs didn't get the ball 10 times in a row is because he wasn't in for a play.
Right.
So, they're physical. That's kind of their bit. And defensively, those guys are all playing well.
And what's interesting there is the Vikings should get back Ivan Pace Jr., Jalen Redmond, and Harrison Smith. So I think that could help against the run, having the full force together. But secondly, LaFleur and Green Bay, unlike the last couple of teams or last few teams we've seen, but certainly the last 2, if the running game for the Packers is 3.6 a carry after like 7 carries, he ain't going to stop it. I mean, he's going to keep working it from different angles and different routes until and it's not a competitive arrogance thing. It's just so many good things are happening for Green Bay's offense off this running game. This week will be a team that will stick to the running game, right?
Paul, think about this. The Seattle Seahawks were averaging 6 yards a carry after the first series or two, I think, and then they ended up with 59 yards on the ground. They just quit running the ball.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. The Green Bay team, no, they're not going to forget. Now they do have a tendency to get away from the running game just as well. They start out with it. It seems like that's that first drive. They just want to hand the ball off, get things moving, get heading north and south. Very difficult to slow down. And then they transition, I think, into more of a passing game. Can they, will they stick with the run? I don't know. We'll see. They get away from it too. Not as much, not as clearly as Seattle does, which they just abandon. They say, forget it. We're not going to run the ball anymore, even though we're going for 6 yards a carry. So it's a head scratcher in this day and age of the league where it's just everyone has this impulse to just throw the damn ball everywhere when sometimes maybe you don't have to.
That's Pete Bercich, courtesy of Sukup and Sukup.com. Merry Christmas to you, Jennifer, and to both of your covenants. And I look forward to seeing you later in the week, okay?
Oh, I don't get a happy birthday out of you?
What? Holy cow. I didn't. Well, hold on. No, we
don't have to.
We could take care of that. Pete, happy birthday, my brother, and I'm sorry I didn't know.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm the it was the birthday Christmas bit growing up, so it's not really a big deal.
Right. No, it's a big deal, and you're a big deal. And happy birthday to you, and Merry Christmas to you, Jennifer, and the Covenant.
Man. That was fun.
That was
winning
great.
the game in Seattle.
Yep, that was fun. Yeah, no doubt.
Right, I'll see you.
Appreciate you. Pete Bercich, courtesy of Sukup and Sukup.com. You're listening to 9 to Noon.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
So, with 2 to go, 3 for a couple with Monday Night Football. Green Bay hosts New Orleans this evening. Super special New Orleans Saints with Spencer Rattler. And Spencer Rattler at quarterback. Derek Carr not playing. Alvin Kamara not playing. Green Bay's favored by 14 points tonight. Green Bay can't lose tonight, right? I mean, that's it. It's like nearly a loser-proof game, right?
Yeah, it's sneak peek at next week, although I think the competition for the Packers will be a little bit different 6 days from now. They're 14-point favorites. The way that you and Pete were talking about that run game with LaFleur, watch it in high def tonight. It's going to be early and often. The Josh Jacobs drive that you guys chronicled opening up at Seattle, they're gonna smash the Saints.
And after that, they're going to be an 11-win operation. So now, you can look at the historical facts of the NFC North, where you're going to have probably a 14-win team, 13 or 14-win team playing on the road in the first round of the playoffs, and the wild card round is so crazy. And Green Bay faces a certain degree of pressure for playoff positioning. The Minnesota Vikings, a fair amount of pressure to win against Green Bay Sunday and then go to Ford Field Davie and beat the Monsters from Motown and secure the 1 seed throughout the National Football Conference postseason. But there are several in meat grinders right now. There are several facing pressure points.
Hang on.
Hey.
Pressure points.
by Sukup Manufacturing.
Rams lead the NFC West. McVay and Stafford might get in. Arizona, bad loss at Carolina. And Carolina's a lot better than it was like a month and a half ago. But still, I mean, Arizona, chip chair chance to get to the postseason, took a nasty L. Green Bay, the way things are working out, talk about pressure points. Green Bay may debut at Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field. That'd be aggressive. Yours truly hoping Atlanta wins the NFC South, just in case we house that 5 and got to play one of them teams. And Washington was all out to beat the Eagles yesterday. The Eagles led by Kenny Pickett. So Washington has come back to the pack a little bit, but will be a postseason team. There's a lot of pressure with a lot of scenarios and teams right now in the NFC.
Pressure points.
Provided by Sukup and Sukup.com.
Yeah, I did actually. I wanted to start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who took that loss last night to the Cowboys. And it was just ugly. A touchdown yanked out of the arms of Jalen McMillan, that talented rookie they have. And then in one sequence, you have the unbeatable Baker Mayfield and the individual acts of wizardry and determination to keep from being sacked, where he won't go down, shovels it to Rachaad White, who then proceeds to just parade the ball around in the open like it's some sort of trophy.
There's no Bucky Irving.
And Deron Bland, and it's too little too late for the Cowboys, but Deron Bland with all those pick sixes a year ago, he's healthy and playing for Zimmer's defense.
Is it too little too late for the Cowboys if they win their final 2?
They've been eliminated, yeah.
They've been eliminated.
Yeah, and that's where, as part of pressure points, there is specifically, and I do want to get to the Packers and something you mentioned about them potentially going to Philly, and a conversation I had last week with Dave Sinekin about where he wants his team to go, as it appears more obvious that they will not be NFC North champions. But let's stick with the Bucs for a second. What an awful fumbling of an opportunity by the Buccaneers, and I think there's a ton of pressure on Todd Bowles and a ton of pressure on the Buccaneers. Now, the final 2 games, they host the Panthers and the Saints. So the odds are certainly in the Bucs' favor that they can just win out, and then they just need the rookie in Atlanta to trip up once. And that could happen as recent as this next weekend as they travel to Washington to take on Jaden Daniels and the Commanders.
Ooh, Penix and Daniels. Wow.
Well, and you mentioned Spencer Rattler.
That's sweet.
Sadly, because of the injury, JJ's like the only QB of the first 6 or 7 taken that hasn't ultimately made a debut. And Spencer Rattler's been in the mix now. Penix, we know, is taking the reins in Atlanta. And Drake May trying to make some memories against the Bills yesterday. They came up short, but all the same, JJ on the mend, and we're looking forward to seeing McCarthy at some point. But is there pressure on the Falcons? See, that's where I'm coming at with this. Is I think the pressure's on the Bucs certainly to win out. I think the Panthers, you mentioned that was a bad loss by the Cardinals. They got Bryce Young and Chuba Hubbard. They got that thing kind of humming nicely.
Yeah.
And it's, again, too little, too late, certainly. But Bryce Young looks like he ain't ready to be cut yet. He ain't ready to be the guy that's cast aside for this non-playoff team in Charlotte.
Yeah.
They could go down and win a division matchup and play spoiler over Baker and the Bucs. The Falcons have both the tiebreakers. And all you're doing, if you're the Falcons right now, once you make that decision, they've calculated the risk of losing out on the postseason. I think you have to do that. As bad as Kirk's been, we can move on to Penix. What does that mean? Well, they needed a couple of defensive TDs to run up that score yesterday against the woeful Giants. Just embarrassing. Imagine needing Malik Neighbors to score points yesterday and watching that game, but I digress. But the Falcons at Washington, and then they host the Panthers as well. So the Panthers have an opportunity to have a massive say over the final 2 weeks of how the NFC South plays out. I think 100 out of 100 times you would rather see the Falcons in that postseason spot?
Yes.
And Michael Penix Jr. hosting a playoff game
yes.
against a 14-win NFC North team, whether that would be the Vikings potentially.
Yes.
Or the Lions if the Vikings win out.
Vikings defense against a rookie quarterback in the postseason.
Oh, feast.
Let it flow, let it flow, let it flow.
Christmas every day and in the ATL. There's no doubt about that for the Vikings. But I think the pressure points when I'm looking at the NFC, the first one I want to hit on, these Bucs, they have to win out and hope the rookie trips up, because right now it will be Michael Penix hosting a playoff game.
Hey ho, Vita Vea. Well, playing at the Big Sombrero at Raymond James. You're outdoors, so think Vikings indoors, and I know they won yesterday on field turf, and it was blustery, and they put up 27 points. But, obviously having the games at home because of the fans would be preferred. But that turf down there, Tampa Bay way, that thing can get a little choppy. So you're on a surface that may not be conducive to the way you play. You're on the road.
Yeah.
And you're going against, at least a handful, if not more. A couple of handfuls of players for the Buccaneers who have won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So, they know how to embrace that moment. And yeah, I would prefer the Falcons, and quite honestly, it's not even close. Pressure change.
So I was talking with Cindy yesterday because the Bucs at that point were still in the driver's seat, and they got to win games like primetime against the quitting Cowboys to maintain that spot, right? Mm-hmm. And they lose that game, and so things are kind of changed. It was interesting to me. They actually like their matchup versus the Rams more so than the Buccaneers. And they have pressure points. They have shades of memories gone by, Baker going to Lambeau and handling business.
We're talking about at SoFi, right?
I believe so, well, yes.
Yeah, 75% of the place will be Packers fans. It's a home game on the road. I feel him with what he's saying right there.
Yeah, but it's McVay. Like in the world of pressure points brought to you by Sukup Manufacturing, I'm thinking, the Seahawks losing yesterday essentially ices the division for the Rams. They host the Cardinals this weekend. The Rams do. It's a win and in proposition for LA. Now they do, if things get weird, I think the finale is they're hosting the Seahawks. So the Seahawks could win out and potentially still have a say in this. But everything, everything's working against Seattle's team right now, including Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson yesterday. Wowza.
And aren't there like games every day this week? Or like
oh, doesn't it feel like it?
Well, yeah,
there's Christmas Day games, there's a Thursday game, then there's Saturday games, and then there's Sunday games.
Damn, so rubber's going to start meeting the road in a couple of days.
But the Eagles are in a spot right now where I think they're basically the second seed no matter what.
Yeah.
And no matter what, save for the idea that the Lions and Vikings don't somehow flop their way out of it. The Eagles win out. There's tiebreakers, and the 14 wins gets them the 1 seed. But the Rams can't catch them at 9 wins over the final 2. So as far as the Packers are concerned,
Green Bay would go to Philadelphia and win. And I know, I'm the one that got loud this last Friday about Chicago beating Detroit, and I meant it. There was no grandstanding there and was completely wrong.
Yeah.
But I would like Philadelphia. I would like the Packers at. Here's the bit: is the teams coming out of the NFC North have been so dominating against non-NFC North teams the entire season. How can I not think an NFC North team would not go on the road and beat somebody, specifically as a dog?
Let's see where things line up for them. So we've mentioned it, Philly. If they, I just don't think they can get there, PA. I think that's the issue. Because if the Packers beat the Saints tonight, and then let's just say the border battle goes our way.
Yeah.
So they're 11-4 after tonight.
Yep.
They'll be 11-5 after the border battle. They're hosting the Bears to end the regular season. They get that 12th win. I don't know what the tiebreakers are with the Commanders. The Commanders are hosting the Falcons, as I mentioned.
Commanders, they split. So there's the head-to-head. Division, I'm not sure. But the Commanders absolutely have a better NFC record than Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm talking about with the Packers, though.
Got it.
Because the Packers would have to be unseated. They'd have to drop down, and the Commanders would have to jump up. So if they win tonight, that's win 11 for Green Bay. They lose the border battle. They're 11-5. They end up 12-5 with a win versus the Bears in the finale. And you have a 10-win Commanders team that has to win out. And then I don't know what those tiebreakers are to be there. It feels like at this stage, Commanders hosting the Falcons and then going to the Cowboys, that they're probably going to be the 7th seed, and you're going to have that NFC East division matchup on Wild Card weekend against hopefully a recovered Jalen Hurts and that Eagles squad.
The as pressure points would go, provided by Sukup Manufacturing and Sukup.com. What about next level Shanny? The 49ers are going to finish last in the NFC West. I mean, they're last right now, and they might finish last in the NFC West. You talk about pressure points with this Brock Purdy deal coming up in the offseason, and Sam Darnold, somebody you now know can run a system similar to yours, and you had him there for a year, and he might be attainable. I mean, that's some significant pressure coming down the road for the San Francisco 49ers. Because no matter what's next with Sam Darnold, say it ends up being a franchise tag and a trade or something like that. But if you do lose him in free agency somehow, the compensatory pick you're going to get is going to be premium. I mean, it's going to be a really good pick. But nevertheless, I just wonder if Kyle Shanahan, and if there are those with the San Francisco 49ers, just completely negative and sour right now, the way the season's gone. But it's antithetical to seasons of days gone by over the last half decade because they're always good. The pressure point here is what to do with Brock Purdy, knowing 14 wearing purple may be available.
Yeah.
And they may prefer him at actually maybe even less money than like Brock Purdy would get. So that's some pressure point related terrorism right there.
Well, it's pressure. Yeah, pressure on a team whose season is lost. Do you think there's pressure on the idea that it goes beyond just the QB? That they have to consider the idea of maybe retooling in several different areas where, the left tackle's getting older.
Yep.
This Debo thing, he's gotten sour over the course and in some ways become a malcontent. They re-upped Ayuk. Maybe that's Ayuk. Ayuk will be on fire again someday. But they have a lot of decisions to make that would make room then for a $40 million quarterback.
Yeah.
But this, in terms of the window or whatever that perceived window is, they're sending McCaffrey to all the continents trying to find all the health experts to try and figure out how this cat, one of the most electrifying players in the league, sadly can't stay healthy. So I think that sourness, it's probably starts with Purdy from a business decision standpoint.
Absolutely.
But it is ugly in the Bay right now.
And props to the Detroit Lions. Okay, so they beat a bad Bears team. But I mean, the 22 down, 12 lost for the season, and they're still having so much fun that they're running trick plays. I mean, Ben Johnson runs myriad trick plays every single game. They did something yesterday called the stumble bum, where I think they worked on it 3 times during practice last week. And here's how dialed in they were on this stumble bum play, where Goff took the snap. Jahmyr Gibbs fell purposely to make it look like there was a fumble and he was diving for it.
Yep.
Goff stumbled purposely, and Simone Biles' husband,
Jonathan Owens
bit hard. And there goes Laporta behind him and 2 other Bears. They bit on the stumble bum. I mean, that's a kick in the ego when you watch that back as a team. But anyway.
Well, there was a funny part after the post game where Jared Goff was explaining they did it several reps, felt good about it, and they're going to roll with it. But Goff was at one point we were thinking that I would actually fumble the ball, but we didn't really feel confident about being able to pick it back up on the fly.
Yeah,
so we went away from that pretty quickly.
The origin of the play, at least from the Lions' standpoint and their offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, actually, from what I read this morning, goes back to September of 2023. When Johnson was studying the Bears defense. I mean, how deeply do these guys go when you're referencing a game from September of 2023, trying to get any take, tell, or talker you can find?
Yeah.
It was Bears and Packers. Jordan Love takes the snap. I think an offensive lineman stepped on his foot, and he fell and dropped the ball, picked it up, 37-yard completion. Ben Johnson sees that, and he's like, hey, that's a great idea for a trick play.
It's brilliant.
And he starts Googling Fumblerooski, flea flicker, Statue of Liberty. Is it hook and ladder or hook and lateral?
Yeah.
And then he comes across the stumble bomb. And they were so dialed in on that play. See, so this is the antithetical to pressure points, where they're just, they'll have a point of pressure when it comes to getting to the Super Bowl. But despite all the injuries and some tough games of late, including getting blown out at home by Buffalo, the lack of pressure these guys feel is very, very impressive. They were so dialed in on that play that when Gibbs fell to make it look like it was a fumble and Owens bid on it, the guys on the sideline were yelling, ball, ball, ball. The whole sideline.
Yeah.
Players and coaches yelled, ball, ball, to make it sound like the ball was out.
They're having fun with it.
Wow. And by the way, speaking of Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, I don't know if it was this morning, yesterday, or Saturday, Courtney Cronin from ESPN, ESPN.com, super well respected, reported that Ben Johnson is the number one candidate for the Chicago Bears to be their next head coach. Now, that doesn't mean the Chicago Bears are Ben Johnson's number one candidate.
Correct.
But for that to come out nearing the end of the season, where if the Lions, if they beat the Vikings, or if the Vikings stumble in the final two and they get that one seed, well, they're going to have some time for Ben Johnson to get all those interviews in the rear view mirror. And I do believe he will be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, though.
Benny Johnson.
Well, I do want you to kind of beat back it up a bit and talk about the pressure of the Lions here for an injured team that, I would anticipate earlier in the year. I'm thinking Niners in the Bay. It's prime time, week 17. And regardless of the situation, I think they're going to be in that fight. The Niners.
Well, they got the Niners next game, right?
To beat the Kitties, yeah. And they're in the Bay.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to watch things, and all those injuries unfolding, they will still just drop 40 at will on everybody. And you mentioned, I know they were down by 10, and then Campbell does the dumb onside kick and kind of put them up against it. They were still kind of chasing a large part of that game. But that's the key. They're going to drop 40 on anybody at will.
They can.
Is there pressure on the Lions to close the deal? It's a 13-win team. Culture in the locker room's unbelievable. Game balls for everybody. Cool stories in and out and everywhere. And the quarterback's playing the best game of his career, best season of his career. But to them, who had kind of been not only anointed the darlings, but they made a run. The city's on fire, and they've completely forgotten maybe about some tough times over the last 25 years.
Yeah.
But they were kind of anointed NFC contender, NFC North champion, most certainly.
Yeah.
And the one seed has really been in their grasp the entire way. And now, in a very short period of time, the Vikings control the destiny of that conversation just as much as the Lions do. Is there any pressure, you think, on them to just close the deal? They can put 34. They can clown on the Quentin Bears, but now they do have to go to the Bay.
Yep.
And they do have to do a redo matchup with the Purple Week 18. How much pressure really is on them, or is it just something?
That's a good
they're
question.
so fancy free right now.
Yeah.
If there is pressure, they ain't showing it.
That's a wonderful, wonderful question, because it gets into the dichotomy of how Dan Campbell handles things. Like if Kevin O'Connell does not win Coach of the Year and Dan Campbell does, and they finish winning their final two games, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at that.
I can't be mad either.
Are you kidding me? With the players they've lost this year, and they find a way to become a one seed, that's unbelievable.
They're a terrific team.
That's a hard question to answer, because Campbell is so intense. When you're that intense and that direct, and the black and white gene is yours, not the gray area.
Right.
It really is on a 0 to 10. It's either a 0 or a 10. You completely feel pressure and you push through it and you grow from it, or you crack, or it's the covenant. And this is just how we are. It's fun-loving. We're going to run trick plays. Hey, Emmanuel Mosley, I think he was with San Francisco a couple of years ago. Might have ripped up both his knees twice. Well, he started yesterday. So they had everybody believing that Kendall Vildor terrorism was going to take place. I mean, if Dan Campbell opened a vein, it'd probably be like, are you out of your bleeping mind? No, we're going to use Mosley at 83% before we use that guy. So, they dusted him off, and from what I understand, he played pretty good.
Yeah.
So they empower people. They empower Jared Goff. Goff is unbelievably chill. There's no pressure there. But when the rubber meets the road in these no tomorrow scenarios, I still think they'll miss David Montgomery. And the way they I think they had 4 running backs active yesterday, and I think they used all 4 of them. Now the game got out of hand. Jamison Williams, when Jamison Williams scored his first touchdown, it was against the Minnesota Vikings, first touchdown of his career. He was run straight down the field guy, and he's super fast, and he's physical, and he's big, and he really can jump. And that was it. Then all of a sudden, the next season, you start hearing, or somebody with their team told me this. It might have been Frank Ragg. I have no idea who it was. But now all of a sudden, there are a few routes that he's gotten really good at.
Yep.
Well, now we go to this year. He's good at everything. Jamison Williams, I can't speak for his run blocking, but he's become a big time National Football League threat. Okay, it's an embarrassment of riches up in this thing, man. I mean, Montgomery down, Laporta hurt a majority of the season. He's completely healthy now. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he's playing a little nicked up. Well, Williams gets their back. And Gibbs gets the back of everybody else the first game Montgomery's down.
Don't forget about Tim Patrick.
Oh, Tim. No, you talk about reclamation projects.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's a wonderful, wonderful aside.
2 years lost, and he's doing, he is so good for them.
Bro, there are more than a handful of players on defense for the Detroit Lions right now that people either never have heard of or have no idea who they are, and that would include me. So you got Pat O'Connor. Okay, Pat O'Connor. That's a defensive lineman who plays a lot of snaps now with Liam McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson down. How about one of your favorites, Trevor Nowaski?
Oh, yeah.
Outside linebacker, Trevor Nowaski.
Big Trev.
How about linebacker Ben Neiman?
Yeah.
Ben Neiman. Don't leave home without Ben Neiman. And Ifeadi Melifonwu, who's been with the team before, but he's playing a lot of snaps now. And then we got Emmanuel Mosley. So they're really squared away. They're really organized. They're very confident. And as pressure points by Sukup would go, I just don't feel like they really feel a point of pressure.
Did they have they have Quan Alexander?
Yeah.
Did he get hurt again?
Yeah, they picked him up when Malcolm Rodriguez went down for the year. And they put him right in, like seriously, with a day and a half of practice.
Yeah.
And he made some major mistakes. So he was inactive yesterday. He might have been hurt. He was inactive in that Bills game. I didn't know Quan Alexander was on their team. And we're playing Monday night, so we get a chance to watch games. And hey, Quan Alexander, who knew? And he made... I can't remember what they were, but there were 2 or 3 of them where just his arms were in the air. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Well, he was inactive yesterday.
Oof.
So, again, they don't feel pressure.
And they're still winning games.
They alleviate pressure.
Yeah.
Like of their fan base. Yeah, if that guy's giving you anxiety, well, he's giving me anxiety too, so I'm not going to play him. Kendall Vildor, everybody wants to rip him from his days with the Bears. Yeah, we're going to have the Bears thinking he's playing all week. And then he's going to play on special teams. So they're just coy. They're just very coy with what they do. All right, let's pause. We're going to chat more Vikings football in the final hour with some text messages and or talkbacks to the free iHeartRadio app where we text and talk back more than people know. And also maybe a few phone calls at 800-320-5326. Might do that at about 11:05. You're listening to the sports leader, KFAN.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Truncated News du Nord, brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. You're playing poker, blackjack, and table games all day, every day throughout the year, feeling the felt. But then, of course, the live racing season will be kicking off spring 2025. Looking forward to that. But cool events all year round at Canterbury. So start at CanterburyPark.com and find out what the coolest spot in Shakopee has on tap for you. And as excited as we've been talking about the Minnesota Vikings, the what's in front of this team, the ability to win out and take hold of that one seed in the NFC playoffs, I can't be quite as excited about a couple other local squads right now. It's gotten ugly for the hockey team, PA. 4 straight losses, 5 of their last 6. And in those 5 losses, they've been outscored 23-6.
Oh, damn.
Including the most recent 5-rip shutout in Winnipeg. Volstead, 5 goals allowed on 24 shots.
Yep.
It was just tough and kind of dips back into...
Volstead. Oh, that's right. Gustafson's hurt.
Yeah, Gustafson and
Volstead
feels like half the team is nicked up right now and struggling. Absolutely.
See, like Brodin and somebody else just
Brodin and Zuccarello came back maybe a week ago against Vegas.
And Zuki scored, I think, when he came back.
And so there are some aspects in which they're getting healthy, but if you're not having Eriksson Ek in the mix and kind of where are you going to score goals from guys not named Kaprizov, and even Matt Boldy, who is I think he's on pace for like a 70 or 80 point season. Boldy is, but still maybe a little inconsistency there. They just need some help putting pucks in the net and clearly keeping them out of the net as they've been enduring over the last week.
When I did Vox in the Box the day you were traveling to the
Army Navy,
the nation's capital, Davy, I asked somebody who knows much more about the program in hockey than do we. I'm like, before the show started, hey, is there any chance that there's a trap door with this thing? And just like, because it was so, battling for the league lead in points for so long. But we know when you hook Winnipeg and Dallas, it's not going the right way. Is there a booby trap? Is there like a metaphorical banana peel on which somebody could slip, or a trap door? And the person said to me, no, not a banana peel, not a trap door where it's just going to fall out and then that's going to be it. It's going to continue to be bad. But I don't think a regression to some form of mean is super surprising to a ton of people who know more about it than us. Now, with that said, I like that take a lot more before you told me they've been outscored 23-6 or whatever that.
Yeah, their 5 losses over the last 6 games, they were outscored 23-6.
Yeah.
I believe it was a Panthers game, or Oilers 7-1, and then the Panthers came to town. Winnipeg was a disaster, etc.
Yeah. Now, the Panthers, they beat the Panthers earlier this year. Cup grid, though.
Yeah, 5-1.
Barkov and Tkachuk came. I watched that game. I like watching the Panthers, believe it or not. They came to XL Energy Center, basically treating it like a post. They were so on point in that game.
Yeah.
And they're so good when they put the pedal to the metal and are super focused. This Utah squad's not bad. See, I didn't see the Winnipeg game over the weekend, travel though. But Logan Cooley and Clayton Keller.
I got Clayton.
Yep, and Bukestad's playing okay. It's not a bad squad. But, I mean, you talk about a boring game, man. It was just, it was tightly contested the whole way. But then Utah, in timely fashion, put an L on us. So it's just like now it's not 7-1, but it's a middling team at best, and they're putting an L on you. So that Joel Eriksson Ek thing, I knew he was hurt. I assumed he was coming back relatively soon. Damn, man, boy, do they miss him. Holy cow.
They're just beat up right now. And so last week when I was filling in for you, had John Hines on Wednesday, had Russo on Thursday. I did kind of broach it, with the coach, kind of at what point do you start, as good as things have been at times, at what point do you start kind of thinking about how you measure up against the Winnipegs and the Dallas? And really from the coach and a bit from Russo on Thursday, it's kind of the idea they're so beaten down right now from a health perspective that it is truly what's in front of you. I mean, half of his press conferences are, well, this guy's coming here. This guy, oh, we love Gaunzer coming up from Iowa. It's injury updates every single time for the first half of his media availabilities. And because that's kind of the A topic with this team right now. They need to get healthy, need to get on the right side of things, and they will. Then we can start talking about Dallas and Winnipeg. But they're hosting Chicago tonight. Get 2 points.
Right, but see, for those in the spotting up covenant, I would assume the Wild are -2 something against this bad team, -220, 230, 240. I mean, it's like, if that's what you do, if you play and you play on a daily basis or quasi and you're trying to make it supplemental income, this for me would be a game I would look at and quickly recognize, well, there are a lot of other games on the docket in the NHL, the NBA, college basketball, Monday Night Football, bowl games, things like that. Because I couldn't bet the Wild as a 2-1 favorite.
Yeah, they're -220.
If somebody just gave me money and said, you can play whatever you want.
Yep.
I ain't going to dive in on that. I mean, yeah, they'll probably get 2 points tonight. But if they lose tonight, really, is anybody going to be super surprised?
No, you can't be at this stage.
I wouldn't be.
Wolves at Atlanta tonight, PA. And, they've lost 2 straight. They lost to the Dubs the other night. Ant goes on this massive rant. You pointed out the video to me. I found it on Dane Moore's X account.
Steph played the other night, right?
Steph it was like a 30-point double-double or something like that. He was fantastic.
Draymond didn't play. Wiggins did play, right?
Yeah, and so you get the awful loss against the Knicks. That transitioned into a terrible first half against the Dubs. They do come charging. They lose by 10. Anthony's frustrated. I mean, just discombobulation abound for Finch's team right now. I don't know what an immediate answer is. We're so locked in right now and just how Julius Randle is either working or not working with this bit.
Yeah.
And DiVincenzo still trying to shoot his way out of early season funks. In Atlanta, I haven't paid attention exactly to how the Hawks are rolling thus far. The Wolves are indeed 3.5-point favorites down in the Atlanta area tonight. But
Trae Young's not playing.
Trae Young's out?
Yeah, Trae Young's not playing. They had a couple of games recently where they were down 40 points, and then like against Memphis, they came charging back in a game where John Morant didn't play, and they were still down like 20 or 30. They have a player who's gotten really good. Jalen Johnson. Yeah, Jalen Johnson, that's his name. He is a terrific, terrific player. And I've known he's good, but then I watched them in the NBA Cup, the Emirates bit, against Milwaukee, and Johnson was just trying to will them to victory. So favorites on the road, you say, with the way things are going right now. Damn.
Yeah,
man.
Favorites on the road. So they just need I think they need something to feel good about right now.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I see Anthony talking, he's fired up about something else. And I mean, it feels really negative around that team.
Well, see, and now what Eric's talking about is after the Golden State game. And I saw this when I was in Seattle from Dane Moore at Dane Moore NBA, Dane Moore's Twitter account. And it's Edwards sitting at his locker stall for about a minute and a half, undressing the referees and the officials, and he's crushing them. I mean, I have no idea how big that fine's going to be that he probably will get.
It was important to note, though, not her, not the female, but those 2 dudes.
Yep, he said it twice. It's like talking about the refs in that game. He's like, not the woman, the 2 dudes. And then a minute later, not the lady, the 2 dudes. But you know what bugged me about that, man, is it's kind of like Ants bugged me a couple of times this year. And it was after they beat Golden State, and he got in Steph's face and yelled, "Go home," so everybody in the arena could hear.
Yeah.
I don't like that, man. I mean, Steph's cool. Steph's chill. He has a bunch of rings and everything. I just don't like that. But Anthony reminded me of a less mature, younger Karl Anthony Towns in that interview when, it's not the way Cat would do an interview or a press conference. It's the way Cat would act during games when he didn't feel he was getting calls.
Yeah.
Edwards right now is every bit as animated and immature with these referees during games as Karl Anthony Towns ever has been. Arms outstretched, not running back, screaming, pissed off he's not getting Jordan rules calls.
Right.
Which, by the way, with these refs in the NBA, you're never going to get them if you keep acting like that and showing them up. That's just how refs in the NBA are. So I was watching Ant drop all these F-bombs and stuff like that on the officials from Saturday night. You know, the two dudes, not the lady.
Not the lady.
And I was thinking, you know, look in the mirror for a second, man. You know, it's an hour ago with the analyst. I'm like, you know what? Here's another thing I like about Jackson Smith and Jigba, since everybody was talking about him around the league, and I finally got to see him live. Well, he got, now that I'm watching some plays back, I mean, he got mugged middle of the field. There was no flag. And he also got held at the line of scrimmage for about 3 seconds, no flag. Never complains.
Byron Murphy got away with one on the sideline against him, too. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's 3. So at least 3 times, he's not the one that pops up, starts screaming at side judge guy or all of the officials, except the lady.
Yeah, it's the inverse.
Yeah, he just gets up and goes back and does his thing.
That's right.
And he's in his second year, okay? There's the common thread there. He's young. He's a young player. And the NFL's different than the NBA, where you don't necessarily have to, you know, earn your Jordan rules cred or anything. It's so stupid with some of these NBA refs. But Anthony makes a lot of his own problems.
Yep.
When it comes to the complaints during these games.
I agree. Last thing for you, I think in some ways you could talk about these guys the same way you're talking about the hockey team. They should beat the Chicago Blackhawks tonight, but would you be surprised if they lost?
No.
And for a basketball team that needs something positive, they could go out and lose to the Trae Youngless Hawks, and then they're at Dallas on Christmas Day. They're at Houston. And I have Mike is a Rube and a longtime listener, and he's just giving me bleep up and down the text machine because we argue about the Houston Rockets. That's not a bad team down in Houston.
Who argues about the Houston Rockets?
Oh, I talked to all sorts of Rubes on the text line. It's fun. Giving crap back and forth. It's
what's your side?
Well, I was making the point that Houston is playing better than the Wolves, but the Wolves on paper are a better team. And this was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The Wolves haven't gotten better.
Yeah.
And the Houston Rockets are absolutely a factor in the West. And Ime Udoka has those young kids working really well down there.
Man.
That's a better team. And you line this up, you're going to see OKC on New Year's Eve. I mean, this is a nasty stretch for a team that is out of chemistry, out of sync to the max.
Forget New Year's Eve. All right. I mean, when Billy, Johnny, Christy, Susie, Tamika, and Antoine are all sitting around opening gifts and enjoying prime rib or whatever Khan has on the smoker for Christmas, it's a chill Christmas. We're at Dallas.
It's Kyrie and Luka.
Well, yeah,
Luka, the Euro step.
Luka hasn't played for about the last 2, 3, or 4, and he's questionable tonight. But it's Dallas.
He'll be back on Christmas.
He'll be back on Christmas.
Yeah.
It's just the gift that just keeps on giving. Thanks, Luka.
Did they still have Gafford?
Yeah.
Did they still have Isaiah Likely?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Derek Likely.
And
they got your guy, P.J. Washington, who's super tough. All right, so good luck to the Wolves tonight. They should win tonight.
They need to win tonight.
Kidding me?
Yes.
I mean, come on. DeAndre Hunter, this butt. All right, let's change the plans a little bit. Let's replay the all Khan does is win montage with the drive-bys in the next segment and see where that gets us before a TCOPC Tuesday on KFAN.
It can get lonely climbing Mount McKinley, so to entertain myself, I go to ChumbaCasino.com. At Chumba Casino, I can play hundreds of online casino-style games for free, like online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Plus, I get a daily login bonus. It's just too bad that up here, I don't have anyone to share my excitement with. Woohoo!
Live the Chumba life. Anytime, anywhere. Play for free now at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. So you say,
Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?
Brew 2 shots of espresso.
after Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you're ready for some beats.
Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music.
You head to meet some friends, but can't remember the place.
Hey, Meta, call Eva.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, hey, Meta, to harness the power of Meta AI. Shop now at meta.com/smartglasses.
Light up your holidays with Vizio's 65-inch Quantum Smart TV, now just $449.99 at Target. Immerse yourself in a world of over 1 billion vibrant colors with quantum dot technology. Plus, wide viewing angle ensures everyone gets the perfect view during movie marathons, no matter where they sit. Stream your favorite festive songs from North Pole Radio using the built-in iHeartRadio app. But hurry, this deal won't last much longer. Give the gift of entertainment and get your Vizio 65-inch Quantum Smart TV for just $449.99 at Target today.